Hey y'all, this is Leah. Welcome back to my series on creating my ideas book. This is a book that I am using to document different junk journal elements that I can use in the future. So we're creating everything out of mostly just copy paper, adding some directions so that way we can come back to these in the future and have some ideas as we're making future journals. Okay. So today we're going to be making this fun vellum pocket. As you can see, it is a piece of background paper and then a piece of vellum, and then it's just decorated a bit. So super simple, but makes a really cool statement in a journal. I just love the look of vellum. It just adds a little something, especially like in a vintage journal, because it just gives that like old world kind of old glass, like the smoky glass kind of feeling. So I really like that look. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our project. So you're going to start with any size paper. Again, I love projects that can be adapted to whatever size fits for your journal. This is a size, I did this one 4 by 5 for this piece. And this would be great in kind of just your traditional size journal that's just, you know, folded over 8.5 by 11 papers. If I was going to put something, if my journal was this big, I'd probably make a larger pocket, maybe something longer and maybe a little bit shorter in that. But it just depends. It could be a really big pocket. Whatever you want. Totally up to you. So you're going to cut whatever background paper you are using. It doesn't need to be double-sided in this case because it's going to be glued into your journal. So whatever you want to use would work. It could be a digital, it can just be some scrapbooking paper, or just whatever you have laying around. It can be solid, it can be patterned, totally up to you. Then you're going to want to cut a sheet of vellum, a piece of vellum, and I did mine about a 1/2 inch shorter. I didn't really, actually I did measure, yeah, so it's a 1/2 inch shorter than my main piece, than my background piece. And then you are going to punch it. So that's kind of the fun thing about this, is you're going to do some kind of decorative punch if you have punches. If not, if you have like wavy scissors, or different kinds of decorative scissors, those would work. If you have some kind of like tear rulers or something, that would give it a fun look. Just anything to kind of jazz up that edge. Of course, if you don't have those things, you could always just tear it, and then that gives it a different kind of edge. So today I am using one of my new punches that I just got, and so it's kind of this little floral scalloped thing, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And through the magic of YouTube, I have one already done because you don't want to watch me punch something a bazillion times. So I went ahead and inked the edges. It shows up, or it doesn't show up a ton, but I did it a little bit on here just to kind of define that piece of the edging on there. And so you don't have to. I mainly wanted to do it for this project so I could see it on my page, because sometimes vellum on white doesn't always show up. So you're going to go ahead and glue that on. You are going to be covering your sides and your bottom, so the type of glue doesn't really matter. I am using Beacon 3-in-1, which is pretty, it's almost the same thing as Fabri-Tac. That's what I ended up buying the first time, and I've just stuck with it. It doesn't dry completely clear, so you do end up seeing through. Trick with using vellum, I have found that glue stick actually shows up the least. I happen to use, like, my go-to glue stick is the Yoo-Hoo, I think that's how you say it, glue sticks. I only use 3 types of glue. So I use either this glue stick, I use my Beacon 3-in-1, or I use art glitter glue. Those are like my 3 mainstays. And then sometimes I'll use tape, just the double-sided roll tape. But I have found that the Yoo-hoo stick, if it's a piece of vellum that you are not going to cover edges on, that tends to work the best. Although sometimes that's difficult because it's such a wide piece. And so it just depends on if you're really trying to do like an edge. Sometimes that can be hard, and it's not going to give you that crisper edge that you might get from using like a fine point nozzle. So, but again, we're not going to see this. We're going to go ahead and cover that up. So you're just gluing that on to make your pocket. So we've got our pocket here because we just glued on our 3 sides. And then you get to decorate. Then you get to do the fun part. So for this, you can use a variety of things. You can cover it with lace, ribbon, washi tape, paper. I did a mix of 2 different things. I used some sari silk at the bottom, and then I used 2 different of the Tim Holtz paper strips on here, just because I wanted to kind of give it that funky little vibe. And so I didn't want it to be super matchy. I'm just going for that vintage. I'm making all of my pieces that I'm making as examples are going into a vintage journal. And so that's why I was going with that look. But whatever you want to do, so you can do all the same, you can mix and match, whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and do washi for this one. I'm going to use a wider washi on the bottom, and this is a brand new roll. I probably should have started that ahead of time, but I'm just going to go ahead and pop that on there on the bottom. Again, you're not going to see the back, so you can just wrap those edges. That always makes it nice, gives you that nice finished edge on the sides. And then you're gonna do a little bit on the sides. You can go all the way up to the top. You can do it, I think with this one, I'm just gonna do it just right up to the piece. And I'm realizing that with this, I should have done this part first, because that's going to be a little bit tricky to get in. But again, it's my ideas book. I am not super worried about finished looks. This is just to give me an idea of what I could do in the future. So yes, it doesn't meet all the way. I am okay with that. For those of you who have watched my videos before, you know that with this, I am not super worried about being really accurate with this. When I make my journals, yes, I try to I make them look, I do worry about finished edges and all of that stuff. So then you get to decorate. You can add things to the front. You can just fill it with different things in the pocket. You can round your corners. For this one, I am going to round with that. Whoops. Sorry about that. That was loud. So doing that. For the other one, I used my little corner to just get those like tag edges on that one. And then I'll just ink a little bit just to kind of show that part. Just give it a little go. So that is really it. So I thought this was just a fun little project to include in a journal. As you can see, like this one's definitely more floral and cutesy. This one's kind of more grungy, vintagey. So you can go in any direction. It just depends on, really what border you're using, what kind of edges you're using. I'm excited. I just got these gear edges, and so I'm working, kind of building the ideas for a steampunk journal, and so I'm definitely going to do one of these kind of with some gear edges, and then maybe just, I don't know, some funky like die cuts or something. You don't even have to cover this. The video, and I'll link that, it's just a quick little reel that I saw for this idea. She didn't even use like full pieces. She just grabbed like some little Tim Holtz, those skinny little flower stems, and she just put one of those on the edge. She didn't even cover both edges. So it's totally up to you as far as how much or how little you decorate this. Okay, so let's get our directions. So first step, cut your background paper to size. Cut your vellum 1/2 inch. I wrote 1/2 inch, but I think I'm going to change that. Oh no, it is half. Sorry. I keep confusing myself with my old mat had 1/4 inches marked. And so every time I look at these, even though, you know, in my mind, I know that's a 1/2 inch. I keep just saying, okay, each line is a 1/4 inch. And it's like, no, Leah, it's really a half. So make it a 1/2 inch shorter. Punch the top of your vellum, glue it to the background, and then cover your bottoms and sides. I gave some options. I'm even gonna put on there die cuts as an option. So ribbon or lace, washi, paper strips, and then decorate it and fill it with whatever you want. So I'm actually going to fill mine with my directions this time instead of gluing that separately. Just something a little bit different. So let's go ahead and get this into our book. Figure out what page. Let's go on this page. That looks fine. And I need my glue. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just glue it on 3 sides, because then you're making another pocket for yourself to use in your project. So now I've got a pocket here as well as my pocket here. I'm just thinking you could actually make this like double vellum, so you could put another piece across as a pocket. It could be vellum, it could be you could do actually a piece of cardstock, and then that would cover your bottom and most of your sides. So just some ideas, and I'm going to add that because I just had that thought. Add other pockets. On top. Vellum. Water paper. So I always like to have different ideas. That's really the whole idea behind this journal. This ideas book is just so I just have so many ideas in my head, and I watch so many videos and see so many things on Facebook, and I'm never going to remember it all. And so this is just a way for me to keep it all straight in my head, because yes, I have the video saved, but for me to remember which video I saw something on, or which reel it was, I'm never going to remember that. I'm getting older. I don't remember, you know, why I walked into the kitchen. So this is just a quick way for me to be able to glance back and see what it is I was thinking, just to have some ideas. So, all right, put our little label on the top. And we are done for today. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. All right, bye, y'all.